So I just saw Kraven the Hunter, and it was, not the best, but also not the worst movie I've seen from Sony. And with this review coming out, this marks the end of the Sony Spider-Man villain film universe that they were trying to set up. That's right, no more Morbius, no more Venom, no more Madam Web, thank God, and there won't be anything involving Kraven the Hunter. That's it. It's just like the DC Extended Universe, it's just over. There's no point of even watching this movie, to be honest, or even any of them, because they don't set up anything, even though that's what they were trying to clearly do. But of course, they're definitely worth watching if you want to watch some pretty bad movies. I've reviewed Madam Web and Venom 3 this year, basically one of the worst movies that's come out this year from Sony. Don't even know how that's even possible to make that many. Morbius will just always be a horrible movie. Venom 2, also pretty awful. And Venom 1 was actually kind of decent. I remember enjoying it, but not hating it, but also thinking it also wasn't like the best movie ever. So honestly, I'd say it's like Venom 1 is probably the best one out of all the movies, and then Kraven the Hunter is probably the second one, and I'm going to talk about this right now. But before I do, I actually wanted to talk about something interesting they decided to do with this film. They decided, and get this, for the very last film in their universe that's not going anywhere, it's staying as it is, they decided to make this one rated R. Now, of course, none of the other films from the Sony villain universe were rated R. Some even question why the fuck isn't Venom rated R. You have characters like Carnage who are known for being just straight up murderers, and it's rated PG-13. Like, what the absolute fuck, Sony? Even during Venom 2, there were clearly scenes that showed very violent and gruesome scenes, but it was just cut out because they wanted to meet the PG-13 rating, I guess. Which, side note, I don't even know why it even matters. I'm sure it does because that allows more kids to see it, but realistically, kids are gonna see whatever they want because as long as you have a parent or a guardian, you can see anything. That's gonna be a rant for a different universe. But basically, this being rated R, I think actually helped the film a lot. It didn't have to hold back or, worry about being rated for kids. It can just do whatever it wants. I also wonder if Sony decided to say, fuck it, let's just make this one rated R because they knew it was the last one. But yeah, Kraven the Hunter, it involves this character named Sergey, haha, get it? Him and his brother live in his family under this father character who I'm pretty sure doesn't have a name, and this guy's like a Russian, crime boss. I'm pretty sure he's also responsible for smuggling drugs into certain areas, and he's always tough on his sons, and it's assumed that he was responsible for their mom dying. It doesn't really matter about the mom character, but they did have a mom, of course, because that's how they're alive, and she's no longer, around. The movie really starts with a scene where the main character, Kraven, is escaping prison because of a certain mission. He had to kill someone, which, by the way, apparently you can just watch the beginning of the film on YouTube, so yeah, you can watch it there. But afterwards, they flash back to Kraven growing up. Him and his father and some other people and his brother went on a hunting trip to find this ancient lion who apparently is the king of all beasts or something. They said something about it like Za or Ra. I could be mistaken. But then out of nowhere, when Sergey is with his brother talking, they actually see this big ass lion, and he's trying to protect his brother because he's weak and not very strong, and even his dad's comments about this. But then obviously the lion's like, no, fuck you, and then he bites him and takes a chunk out of him and drags him away. He's then found by this girl who has some fortune-telling cards, I think tarot cards, and she was given this ancient water from her grandma that heals anything and also has whoever drinks it is connected to the earth and its animals and spirits. At least that's what it's assumed. So Sergey drinks this water to be resurrected later in a hospital, and then he realizes, oh shit, I'm Spider-Man. I'm Kraven the Hunter, and he becomes this vigilante character who lives in the wilderness, protecting the animals and basically scaring off any poachers and killing them as well if they hunt very selfishly, or pretty much anyone who hunts. He pretty much kills anyone, and the whole thing is if you're on Kraven's list, then you're already dead. So yeah, that's Kraven, a very interesting character. I really do think Kraven as a character is very cool and very interesting. I really do wish this wasn't his only film. I know we can kind of get more Kraven if you play the Spider-Man games. So as mentioned, there's some things about this movie that's kind of good and also kind of bad. I think first off, let's just start with the bad. The things that are just awful about this film is its dialogue and some of the actors. My God, I have heard this movie has some of the worst line deliveries I have ever seen in a fucking film ever. It's specifically this like female character who is the little girl that like saves Kraven when he was younger. She grows up to be like a lawyer, and she's eventually wrapped up in this like main plot. And she is just an awful actor. Some of the lines she says and delivers is just god awful. Like, I actually cringed when I heard some of the lines that she said. It is just so bad. She says something on the lines of, "I don't like this feeling at all," and I literally had to I cringed. There's also another sequence where she's like aiming her bow and arrow at someone, and she says 3, motherfucker, because the other guy was counting down or counting to 3, and she says it. My god, like, it's cringe and cheesy and bad all at the same time. Even the main character Kraven had some very awful line deliveries. Like, they really couldn't have done any extra takes. I don't want to say he's like a bad actor, but there's definitely some moments that he definitely should have redone. There's like this scene where he's like sad about something happening with his brother, and he's like, "I should have been there for him," and he walks and walks back and forth, and oh my god, it's just so bad. All the other characters in general are just really bad. None of them are really memorable. The dad is just a comically stupid character. He's so one-dimensional. He has to be the rough and tough dad that teaches his son about the world and how to be a man and be a crime boss, and it's just like, okay, we've seen this a million times, and they don't do anything with his fucking character. Kraven's brother becomes somewhat important, but not really. He's just not in the film enough to really even care about. I sometimes even forgot he was in this film. The secret main villain is the Rhino, who's played by this guy who is such a strange individual, because there's moments where he's like saying and doing certain things that's very out of pocket, but kind of also comical at the same time, and then he's trying to be serious as well, and it's like, you just can't take him seriously. He's like not even a threat at all. He's just a big dumb Rhino character. A lot of the editing in this film was also very cheesy and tacky. Like, there's some transition scenes that was just very noticeably bad, and like, it's like, really, did you really have to cut to the next scene by doing this? It definitely could have used a lot more work, and especially with some of the CGI, it was just very noticeably bad. The pacing of this film was also kind of a bit strange to me. There was just moments where I was just extremely bored, and then there was other moments where I was like actually kind of having fun and excited to see. Basically any scene that has action in it was pretty much really good, and every other scene was just really bad and like almost slow at some points. Even the backstory behind the character is kind of like a snooze fest for me. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say about the bad. As far as the good, I mean, like I said, the scenes where Kraven is like doing stuff is really good. I thought the cinematography and like the action sequences was just really fun to watch. Him running away and climbing up these walls, kind of like a Spider-Man. Those are all just really good scenes. I really wish we could have seen more scenes of him, being a hunter. Now, I know we obviously saw him hunting people, but it's mainly just him killing people, and he's called Kraven the Hunter. And I don't know if I'm getting this wrong, but it would have been cool if we could have seen him, set traps up or like hunt people. And I know we did get some scenes, but like I said, I would have liked more of it. I even told like my brother when watching it, if the movie would have just ended after the first 10 to 15 minutes, it actually would have been a great movie. I actually thought it was really fun. There were some times where the music was actually kind of good, which usually I don't really notice, but there were some catchy tunes that kind of fit the theme and the tone a little bit. I don't know. I even want to give like some extra brownie points to like whoever did the costume for Kraven. I don't know why, but whoever did that costume was just really cool. I really think Kraven in general is just a really cool character, and like I said, I really had fun just watching him do crazy shit and killing people and like being a hunter. I would have loved, like, if, I don't know, maybe we can get like a side series or a mini movie of him just surviving in the wilderness and killing off these poachers who are fucking up wilderness. I'm pretty sure I just criticized the writing for being cringe and bad, but not all the time. There were some moments that actually got a chuckle out of me that was genuinely pretty funny. But yeah, that's really it for the specifics. There's really not much more to say about this film, so I guess I'll just spoil it and talk about the whole film in general. For the rest of it, if you don't want to be spoiled, even though there's really, like I said, it doesn't matter. This is the end of this universe. There's nothing to really spoil that'll be like, oh no, you definitely got to see this for the next film. It's nothing like that. But yeah, skip to this moment that you're seeing on screen. There's your warning. And yeah, So the entire film involves around Kraven going to his brother's like birthday party, and it's here also where he meets up with his dad, because when he was a kid and when he became Kraven the Hunter, he ran away from home. He was really fed up with his dad being like this like violent or like not caring person. It was actually kind of funny because when Kraven came back from that healing water, the first thing his dad was worried about is, why didn't you kill the lion instead of running away? So yeah, he's kind of an asshole, and he kind of ran away from his dad and left his brother home. The brother was involved with the family with this nightclub, being like a singer slash performer there. But yeah, they're at this birthday party, they're celebrating, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, Kraven wants to get up because he's hearing too many noise, and he goes outside to take a nap. He wakes up and he finds that his brother is being kidnapped, and there's a really cool scene where he's like chasing them and like trying to get up to his brother and save him and stop him. There was a few scenes that kind of reminded me of Captain America. I believe it was one of Civil War, I'm pretty sure. It kind of reminded me of a scene where Captain America was holding back a helicopter. It was really cool, but eventually the people who came and kidnapped them got away, and they needed to figure out what was going on. So Kraven seeks help from the lawyer character girl that, you know, she met because there was like a funeral scene, and Kraven just so happened to run into her and was like, hey, you're that girl that saved my life all those years ago. So she helps, you know, him find some information on who these people are. We eventually then cut to some scenes where Dimitri, the Kraven's brother, we find out who really kidnapped him, and it turns out to be the Rhino, who was apparently this random dude who was part of their father's hunting trip at the beginning of the film. And I guess he was roasted so bad that he said, fuck your dad, I'm gonna take over, and yeah, your dad better give me money if he wants to see you again. When Kraven was trying to like go out and be like, hey dad, let's give this guy the money, he was like, no, it doesn't matter, it's not about the money, it's about power, I don't want to show weakness. And it's just like, oh my god, get the fuck over yourself. Like, I get it, he's a one-dimensional fucking stupid meathead, and it's like, dude, your own son? Wow. Really cool, bro. And again, he doesn't change at all throughout this entire film. Back to Dimitri, he talks to the Rhino and he figures all this stuff out, and the Rhino character apparently has some disease, as far as I remember, that turns his skin really bad, and has to carry around a book bag that has his medicine in it so he doesn't turn into the Rhino. And he mentions New York, and by the way, this film keeps mentioning New York. I should have mentioned that earlier. This film just loves to mention the S word, the Spider-Man word, so much, but they just can't because they know it doesn't matter, and I'm pretty sure there was some clause that stopped them from doing it. If you remember, like in the first Venom movie, or I think it was Morbius, there were supposed to be like real, like, you know, paintings of Spider-Man on the wall, but they removed those scenes because I guess they wanted to have this film be all about the villains, but in reality it's probably because of copyright reasons or something stupid. Either way, this movie genuinely talks about New York and Spider-Man so much, but they don't say it. Hell, even later in the film, we learn that Kraven is apparently afraid of spiders, so go figure. So Kraven gets the information from his friend. I'm just gonna call him his friend, I guess. I don't remember her fucking name at all. And he heads there, you know, he's sneaking around, he's killing these people, and it's really cool. He tries to get the information, and we eventually learn that he needs to go to another place to find his brother, or something like that. We eventually meet this other random villain, who I believe is named the Foreigner, or something like that. He's an assassin who I guess also wants to kill Kraven. I really forgot about his backstory, if he even gave one, but he's just introduced and thrown into this film because he also wants to kill Kraven, and I guess he can slow down time and make illusions, so yeah, that's probably going to be very, very powerful to beat. I wonder what's going to happen with him. But yeah, Kraven needs to now go to another place where the Rhino has his brother, and this is where Kraven tries to use the element of surprise by using the jungle or the forest to his advantage by setting up certain traps and having this like random cub that shows up to help fight and save his brother. A lot of shit happens, but eventually Kraven fights this guy, the Foreigner guy, who can slow down time, and he fucks with him a bit and shows illusions of spiders. This is where we learn about the whole spider fear, and he even like hits him with some neurotoxin, and it's like, oh shit, Kraven's gonna die. And this is when the guy was like counting down because he was going to shoot him and kill him, but as soon as he said 1, 2, and the girl, the random lawyer character girl, again, I don't even remember her name, she fires and kills the guy trying to kill Kraven, and yeah, that's when she says 3, motherfucker. And she apparently can use the crossbow or bow and arrow, whatever, bow and arrow, because she mentioned it while they were planning an attack, that she went to summer camp, and she's apparently that good. So, cool, I guess. It's just these little things that just come out of nowhere, and it's just like these characters have these abilities that are made for one specific scene, and that's it. So after Kraven is like nearly dying, she has a little bit more of the revived juice, gives it to Kraven, and he's up and ready to go. The Rhino being attacked by a bunch of other stuff going on. I don't even really remember, but his men are being killed. Dimitri takes this opportunity to run away, but he gets captured again. Now they're just on the run again, and now Kraven takes this opportunity to make one last final attempt to save his brother, and he uses the boars, or the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. He uses the buffaloes to help make a stampede. He fights the Rhino, and it's pretty cool, actually. There's a lot of scenes that involve them, like, jumping around and flying, and, you know, they're both really buff, so they're, like, punching each other really hard, all this and that, you know, typical hero or comic book movie. After a bunch of fighting, Kraven comes out on top. He's, like, the king of the jungle now or whatever, and he takes an opportunity to pin down the Rhino and stab him because he has like a weak spot where he puts his medicine in. He stabs him there with a big metal pipe, and yeah, he basically kills him, but then he gets some information out of him, and the Rhino's like, "You've been set up. It was your father who did this." He didn't really say it like that, but he was like, "Hey, you've been missing something this whole time." There's also this moment where Dimitri wants to kill the Rhino with a regular pistol, and Kraven's like, "No, it's okay, bro. This isn't you." But yeah, so Kraven figures out that his dad was the one who was behind this whole thing, because his dad knew that his son was Kraven the Hunter, because Kraven was just this famous hunter that everyone knew about but didn't like know who he was. But his dad obviously did. It's implied that his dad was trying to remove them so I guess he could have more control over his family, or I don't really know. Again, this is just one of those things where I don't even know if they even explained it. He just wanted to kill Kraven because I guess it would just be a bigger reward or something. Kraven doesn't really do anything about this. In fact, was like, hey, you know, it is what it is. He leaves, but he actually takes the ammunition, and I guess he led a bear to his dad, a big ass bear, and the dad dies. Yeah, he just fucking dies. So, you know, that's really it for the film. I mean, a year passes, Kraven goes to his brother's birthday again, and they talk about some stuff that doesn't really matter. Turns out that throughout the entire film also, Dimitri had a good, like, he had the ability to, like, impersonate voices, and he did this to fuck with people. But he then went to this doctor who helped the Rhino. He went to him, and he's basically now the Chameleon, which is another Spider-Man villain. It doesn't even fucking matter. I don't even know why I mention it. And that's it. The movie just ends. The Kraven's like, wait, what? You're a villain now? Because I guess they had some disagreements about the family business and who's really their father. And also, right before the credits, Kraven gets a gift from his father that was sent to him, used from the lion that, you know, almost killed him at the beginning. And it's made of this, like, outfit. It's like his, like, what's it called? The mane of it. It's used to, like, make his new outfit, and yeah, he's now Kraven the Hunter, and the movie ends. But overall, yeah, a lot of bad things with this film, but some good things to like about it. Like I said, this isn't worse than Madam Web. I've seen so many people say that this is worse than Madam Web. That is just impossible. Like, you must have not watched Madam Web if you genuinely think Madam Web was better than this. So, it doesn't really matter. Like I keep saying, Sony is no longer making any more of these movies, probably because it's just becoming a bit of a risk, even though it's kind of weird because Venom 3 made a lot of money for how much its budget was. But also, you could blame that on people just being bored and not knowing what to see, this, so they're just like, fuck it, let's just go see Venom 3. I also have seen a lot of people online, like, say, when people give, like, bad reviews for certain films, there's always a group of people being like, oh, so that means it's good. It's like, what? Who fucking cares? And that's what I want to say with this next part. Who cares what anyone has to say? It's just a fucking movie at the end of the day. I mean, you're allowed to disagree, you're allowed to agree, it's whatever. But don't just cope about it and be like, well, if this person said this, it must be this. It's so stupid. It's the same thing with animated kids movies. It's like, you're really going to get upset over this opinion? Anyway, small rant over. Yeah, Kraven is just a bit of a mess. I wouldn't say it's like all over the place, but there's just a lot of things that are done right and a lot of things that are done wrong. Like I said, I'd say this film is as mid as you can get. I want to give it a 5 out of 10, but honestly, it's like, I may give it a 4, maybe a 4.5. So somewhere in that range, but if I had to choose, yeah, 4.5 is what I would say as a final score. But I could definitely lean towards a 5 because there were some genuinely good moments in the film. It wasn't the worst thing ever. So don't worry, guys. This isn't worse than Madam Web. That's still the worst movie that's come out this year. But yeah, what do you guys think about this film? Let me know. Talk about it. And yeah, I'll see you in my next review.